Hey, how y'all doing? This is Sun 919 Truth Sports coming to you with another segment. This one will be titled What I Learned About Coach Prime's Coaching Staff After the Win Over Colorado State. It is well documented. As you know, this past weekend they won 28-9, and I just like to break down the different coaches and how their respective teams or rooms did within the game. So first, let me go ahead and get into it. First of all, congratulations on finally getting a dominating type win. We really haven't seen that since last year when they played Nebraska. I forgot the score, 34-13, whatever it was. So good for them. They got a dominating win. I'm a gear person. I love to see gear, and I love to see real nice feels. I'm just weird like that. I'm one of those type people. And I like what I like his coaching style as far as what he wears. It's totally different from the rest of the coaches. You can tell he has it tailored. And I'm just one of these guys, if you want to be a coach, look the part, look sharp as you can, etc. Just, he's just not putting a little overshirt on and, with Colorado on. He really takes time and puts into it, so that looks good. But I want to say this because I'm a weird guy like this. When I watch Colorado play on TV and when I watch Colorado State, their fields, the surrounding area is beautiful, but their fields look just dry and almost colorless to me, like it's in black and white. I don't know if it's just me. I have high definition television, so it's not that. But I don't know, just those fields, I don't know what it is. They just look dull to me, compared to the rest of college football. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. Coach Prime, to me, still has no coaching presence on the sidelines. He has no play sheet. He never looks engaged in the play calling. You never really see him when they do have it on him. You really never see him talking to the coaches. And even the announcers finally said something. They was like, Coach Prime's not even talking in the headphones and blah, 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 whatever they said. But I don't know. It just looks like he's just watching just like the rest of us. But it is what it is. Get right into it. The coach, which is led by Pat Shurmur, the offensive coordinator. Pat Shurmur is the offensive coordinator. The offensive line coach, Coach Phil Lodeholt. Always take into account that Sherman does not have full control over the offense. It's between Coach Prime and Shador. Basically, he just does, what they're basically telling him to do. So, I don't want to overblame him. But Shador was only sacked one time, which is great. Really, it was 0 sacks because they counted the sack. He was going out of bounds and he fell. I don't know why he didn't throw it out of bounds, but he fell behind the line of scrimmage, so that counts as a sack to the defense. So really, they went from being sacked six times against Nebraska to 0 against Colorado State, which is great. Welch, who I called for, if you saw my edition of this for the first game, I called for Welch to play more. He needs to be playing. And sure enough, the second play of the game or the second carry of the game, he was in the game running the ball. The offense did get off to a slow start. Their first possession was 4 and out. I'm not one of these people who's like, they need to start quicker. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. The other team practices too, and they practice not to let you just come in and dominate them. So I'm not one of these people who gets mad if they get off to a slow start. Football is hard, and both teams practice, and sometimes the defense will win out on a possession or two before you get your offense going. They did try a reverse on the first possession, which didn't work, but at least it showed some type of creativity. So I was happy to see that because I don't care what anybody says. They listen to some of these YouTube channels. I don't care what anybody tells me. I know that even from the biggest to the smallest. But they did show some creativity in trying to do a reverse. Welch, again, was very active. I like the way he runs. He just runs the ball hard. He can take contact and keep going. Especially as a freshman, he was very impressive. By halftime, the offense had produced 14 points against no sacks, which is great for them, great for them again. Shador went 36 for 49 for 310 yards and 4 touchdowns. They did have 109 rush yards combined. So I gave the offensive line and the offense an A. That's the best I've seen them play in a very long time. So congratulations to them. Let's get right into the running backs, which is coached by Gary Harrell or Coach Flea. I always do segments last year, and I do some this year about how the running backs room is not being used very often. And I'm also do a side segment about that. But the running backs went 19 carries for 109 yards, which was the best since Coach Prime has been there, if I'm not mistaken. The leading rusher was Michael Welch. He had 9 carries for 64 yards with a 7.2 average. They had 0 rushing touchdowns, but at least the running backs got their hands on the ball a little bit and had some type of presence within the game. Isaiah Augusta, he ran the ball hard. He had one fumble, but for the most part, he ran hard. So again, they finally had presence on the game, even though they carried the ball only 19 times, which is still not good because the average in college football is around 30. I looked at a lot of different teams that played last weekend, the top teams, and most of them had 30 and up with the ball carries. So I give them a B for production for the running backs. Congratulations to them. I'm going to get into that in another segment because I don't know how you're going to hold on to some of these running backs or any of the running backs when y'all don't run the ball. Man, why would you go to Colorado if you're not going to run the ball if you're a running back? Let's get into the wide receivers, which is led by Jason Phillips. The receivers look great, very productive. They were the star of the show. Travis led the group with 13 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think he's had 3 straight games of 100 yards, if I'm not mistaken. LaJohntay Wester had 5 catches for 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. He averaged 16 yards a carry. He was very impressive, too. I like him. He was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, by the way. Shador did hit 10 different receivers, which is a quarterback who's hitting everybody all across the field. Will Shepard also looked good to me. I like him on 50-50 catches. He looks like a pro to me. I'm not good at calling people pros, but for some reason I just see pro on him. It could be his size and the way he can catch difficult passes. He's also a good player to go to on third down. But he also did well. Overall, the wide receivers outperformed the Colorado State receivers. We know that Horton was down, which changed the whole it just changed the whole game with Horton being out. He's one of the top receivers, not just in the game, but one of the top receivers in the nation. I think they have him as a top 10 going into this season and the NFL prospect. So the receiving room looked great. They were explosive. They got, the 4 touchdowns. There was a tight end side in Sam Hart. Hart had a 2-yard catch, and, they haven't used the tight ends since starting from last season, the middle of last season, all the way up until now. So good for him. So I give this room an A. They look excellent. They did all the scoring. They're going to be tough to cover. It's hard to cover those guys, so I have to give them credit. Let's go into the defense. The defense is led by Coach Vincent. It was also led by the defensive ends coach, Coach Lewis. Then you have Coach Livingston for the safeties. You have Coach Hart for the linebackers, and you have Coach Mathis for the cornerbacks. The defense looked really, really good. The defense was very effective. Number 20, Levante Bentley, was very active. Man, he was hitting hard the whole game. He also got a fumble recovery, but he was very active, within that television screen. And it was good to see him play like that. Number 55, Kareem Harden. He got a late hit penalty, which led to a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, and they missed a field goal. But the hit was very important because that was on the third down. Then you had number 41, Nakia Hill-Green. He's my favorite defensive player. You can tell when he's on the field. You can also hear when he's on the field. He had 2 very hard hits. And the announcers was also very he also stood out to the announcers, so he was very impressive to watch. Number 24, Preston Hodge got a pick. Glad for him. Travis Hunter got a pick and a 38-yard return. And I'm just telling, Travis is amazing. I'm glad he got an interception. I don't know why you would throw against your body to his man, because more than likely he's going to come up with the ball. But at the same time, you have to challenge him. But not only did he get a pick, he had a 38-yard return. So good for him. You had number 50, Hayes, got a sack finally. They hunt, as they say, for those sacks. So it's glad to see them finally get a sack. Number 35, B.J. Green with another fumble recovery. The defense only gave up 9 points, which is 9 points within the last 6 quarters since the second half of the Nebraska game, if I'm not mistaken. They kept the quarterback uncomfortable. They kept flushing him out of the pocket. He wasn't able. It forced him into bad decisions because he obviously this year struggling throwing on the run. Last year he looked great, but this year he struggled on the run. So they kept flushing him out of the pocket. So even though they didn't get a lot of sacks, they made him very uncomfortable. He ran out of bounds a lot of times, and he's not the type of quarterback who's going to run vertical down the field a lot and hurt hurt you, which he didn't. So they kept him very uncomfortable. So overall, they gave up 131 rushing yards. They also put the lead rusher out early in the game. I think he took a headshot. So they gave up 131 yards rushing and 209 yards passing. So for the defense, especially since the second half of the the Nebraska game, I give those guys an A. They look excellent. If they keep playing like that, they will always give their team a chance to win the ball game. Then let's go to special teams or the kicking game and special teams. There was a partial block on the first punt of the game, which is always bad. There's special teams since last year is always shaky to me. Mata missed another field goal. I feel bad for him because he missed one in the Nebraska game, then he missed one this game, and even when he makes them, they seem to be very low sometimes, and I don't understand that as a kicker because that's all they do is kick, and one of the things you have to do as a kicker, of course, is get it up in the air. So I'm sure his confidence is shot. So it is what it is with him. Hopefully they fix it because I know they depend on Mata. He's a good story. He came from Jackson State with Coach Prime, and Coach Prime puts a lot of pressure on him. He depends on him a lot. So we'll see if he picks it up. So I'm going to give the kicking game and the special teams a D. I do think they're going to cost they will cost Colorado a game this season. I hope not, but if it comes down to a kick, or if it comes on the field position, then you gotten your punters getting blocked, so the special teams are not blocking up front, and if you can't depend on Mata to get field goal or kick field goals, they're going to be very inconsistent at the end of games, because I can promise you in the Big 12 there will not be a lot of blowouts because everybody look about even so far. So it is what it is. That's been my take on the last game against Colorado State. It's been Hunt 919 Truth Sports. Ride with me. It's been Hunt 919 Truth Sports. Ride with me.